Well, folks, the data is starting to show that the men are not interested in courting and marriage at all anymore. Well, maybe not at all, maybe I should read it, but less and less and less every year. Now, the average age for women and men is around 30. I think women's 30, men 31 now. And so men are not as interested in courtship. So Pastor Dalrock, a few years back, wrote an article about how women should respond to men withdrawing from courtship. Now, this is an interesting article. I thought, boy, I should read this one here. He says, in my last post, I explained why it makes logical sense for men to greatly limit the amount of courtship that they offer the modern woman. But this leaves questions about what this means for women and how they should rationally respond to men's rational choices. Okay, so here we go. For women who want to meet and marry a suitable man, here is Pastor Dalrock's advice. The key to answering the question involves understanding the woman's primary objective. If the goal is to maximize the amount of courtship she receives, skip to the below section of courting for sex. Okay, so he's going to get into that. If a woman's goal is to meet a suitable husband and get married, then she should focus on the goal and not worry about how much courtship she soaks up in the process. So I think he's talking about a short dating and short engagement period before you actually get married. He says there's nothing magical about meal at a restaurant or other forms of semi-expensive entertainment which conveys the important character traits of a prospective husband. At best, these serve as a very poor barometer of the man's financial success. Hey, I'd agree with that. If he's willing to spring for like a really expensive dinners and outings and stuff, yeah, he's probably got some money, most likely, unless he's a really good con artist, and most men are not. Many women would also argue that a man spending money on her during a date, especially early dates, expresses a sincere desire to get to know her. In this sense, paying for a date serves as a sort of courting earnest money. It demonstrates that the man has some skin in the game. However, the reason women want this proof of seriousness is exactly why it isn't rational for men to offer it. In the past, courtship was not only restricted in duration, but it was also generally restricted to people in the man's and woman's extended social circle. While the couple might be strangers to each other, there were generally enough social connections for them or the families to learn some basic information about the status and character of the other person before deciding to court. Okay, so your family would vet this person in a way before they would come to you. If a man had a history of being a scoundrel, the woman could learn this without ever agreeing to court him. Likewise, if a woman had a history of not taking courtship seriously and stringing along suitors, the man could learn this up front. Man, what a good system. We probably need to go back to these days, huh? Wow. Anyway. Contrast the past with today, where a large number of women not only want to extend their period of courtship to a decade and a half, but where they want to date extensively outside of their extended social circle. Anytime you're dealing with strangers, it creates a deficit of trust. Since men are traditionally the ones who bear the risks in courtship, it isn't surprising that women want men to demonstrate their seriousness first. However, the problem is that women aren't doing anything similar in kind. Commenter Robert Slanton linked to an article about a Toronto woman who used online dating as a source of free meals and entertainment. Now, I will admit if you can find enough dummies out there, that is like fairly smart on a woman's part. If she wants free meals and free entertainment for guys who are just pining for her attention, then that is fairly smart. Says the problem with women expecting men to expend money on getting to know them is the issue of trusting a stranger runs both ways. While the Toronto woman is unusual in her brazenness, she isn't the only woman to figure out that online dating is a way to get free dinners. I assume at this point some of my female readers are saying, but I'm not like that. And since I'm not, men should be willing to pay for a date if they want to get to know me. Of course, you aren't. But how can a man find out if you aren't like that? And then the woman would reply, well, he just needs to ask me on a date and get to know me. Okay, logic, yeah. Women who think this way aren't thinking this all the way through. They are saying men should pay up front to find out if they are serious about them. The problem is this makes it nearly impossible to avoid becoming a dupe for women like the one in Toronto. The only way to know she isn't gaming the system is to enable other women to game the system. Ooh, okay. Enable other women to game the system. Okay. Anyway, he writes the good news. The good news here, as I mentioned before, there is nothing magical about a paid date when it comes to getting to know someone. Men and women can get to know each other and experience attraction for the other in a huge variety of casual and formal interactions. The average woman complaining about not being able to meet men on a date has in fact already met very large numbers of single men. Casting a wide net is an excellent idea, but the perception of abundance can at times create a perception that the woman is in a different marketplace value or even marriage value than she really is. However, even with this and men's general pullback from courtship, the vast majority of young women do still manage to marry. Well, how is that then? How is it? I wonder, we need some, yeah, anyway. With this in mind, here's my advice to women looking for a husband. Okay, now this is good stuff. I'm going to have to review this with my daughters when they come of age. It's good stuff here. 1, be young, or more accurately, get serious about finding a husband as soon as possible. This not only allows you to choose when your own hand is strongest, meaning men value youth and beauty the most over anything else. Youth and beauty is what most men value. It says, but also when your choices are greatest. Picking last is always a terrible strategy. And this is no less true for finding a husband than when buying produce. Boy, that's true. Yeah. All right. It says, keep your chastity. Women's happiness with marriage declines with partner count, and their expectations also rise with increased options. Good advice. It says, look for market inefficiencies. There is a time around a man's early 20s when he starts to really show his promise. Such men are just starting to become attractive to women, but haven't yet gotten used to being attractive. These men are excellent marriage prospects, especially for a woman a few years younger than them. Learn to identify and locate these young men and place yourself in a position to interact with them. Now, this could mean for these women, he says a few years older, I'm wondering if this means that when a woman is maybe a freshman or sophomore in college, she looks for a guy that has just graduated and landed that first job and then goes for him instead of another dopey freshman in college like she is. If she was smart, she may realize, hey, I can get a guy who's actually got something going on for himself, snag him, let's get married. Anyway. Number 4, don't lose hope. Just because few men are willing to take you out on paid dates to get to know you doesn't rule out the likelihood that a significant number of men would be willing to marry you. Put another way, just because you may be a bad bet for traditional expensive courtship, meaning all these dates and planning outings and dinners and blah, 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 says this doesn't mean that you are a bad bet for marriage. The same data which shows that women are having a hard time marrying also shows that the vast majority of women still marry, and some of them are marrying well into their 30s. Take advantage of the social interactions you already have to meet men. Women are better than men at sending signals, and that is for sure. Boy, that's for sure. Sending signals of interest while keeping plausible deniability. Don't be afraid to use this when you think a single man in your larger circle might be a good match. You don't want to ask him out, but you should probably help him figure out that this is a good idea for him to initiate either dates or other interactions. And women can make that so easy. I mean, boy, A woman doesn't have to ask you out. They could come up and just say, hey, listen, I'm kind of bored on Friday nights. What do you do on Friday nights? Well, I don't know. Be like, yeah, it might be fun, to do something Friday nights, but yeah, let me know, blah, 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 whatever. I mean, that's not asking anybody out. It's just kind of saying, yeah, boy, I'm free. I'm available. I don't know. I mean, yeah, women don't do that. But if you're really looking to get married, maybe start doing that kind of stuff. So be as kind and private as possible when rejecting interested men. Ooh, I like that. Rejection comes with the territory, but you don't want to cause Mr. Right to have reason to avoid making contact with you. Ooh. So I think he's meaning that if Mr. Right hears that, man, you really shut him down hard, like he may be like, I don't want, but if Mr. Right hears, boy, this girl's very gracious in the way she goes about, dating, and then saying, I don't think you're the one for me, but you're a nice person, blah, blah, blah. That helps. Number 6, if your goal is to marry but not to marry now, let your social circle know you aren't dating at the moment because you aren't ready to look for a husband. Then follow through with this and don't date or encourage interest until you are ready to seriously look for a husband. Yeah, meaning have some integrity. Anyway, if Mr. Right, I don't know if anybody is in number 6. Like if the right guy comes along, every woman is willing to date and marry if it's the right guy. If it's like Brad Pitt, if it's Tom Brady or whatever, yeah, they're ready. They're ready. Anyway, number 7, when you are ready to look for a husband, let your social circle know this is the case. This will somewhat filter out men who express interest in you for conjugal visits. But this filtering is a positive. It would, in fact, be better if they were more effective at filtering out interests from men looking for sex. That's right, because you're not looking for that. You're a chaste woman, a good Christian woman. You are looking for marriage before sex. Yes, that's good. I like that. All right. Make as honest an assessment of your marriage marketplace league as possible. You don't want to set your sights too low, but you also don't want to turn away men you will only learn too late were your best prospects. Ooh, man. Well, Chris Rock, the comedian, he makes jokes about that. How the women, they always regret the ones that they let get away because they were too proud, too dumb, too whatever, So also be sure not to confuse the league of man you can attract for sex with the league of man you can attract for marriage. Oh my goodness, so many women make that mistake nowadays in 2025. Man, okay, here we go. Number 9, don't settle. If after spending a suitable period of time with a man you find you aren't falling for him, cut it off gently, graciously, and then move on. Don't worry, another woman will almost undoubtedly be able to fall for this man. If he wasn't generally attractive, you wouldn't be considering him either. Okay, so don't worry about the guy too much. Gently, graciously, break it off and move on to Mr. Right. Number 10. Don't ask a man to be your celibate boyfriend. Waiting for marriage is a good thing unless you are using it as an excuse to keep the man as a beta orbiter. Oh man, and Dalrock wrote so much about the beta orbiters. Oh, we gotta love it. While you consider other options. If you aren't anxious for the day you marry and can have sex with this man, then cut off the relationship. Otherwise, keep the terms of your engagement to a minimum. That's right. Short engagements, that's good. I mean, if you're getting married, if you know you're getting married and you're engaged and you're excited, then keep it short and get married. Man, I got these people are engaged for like 2 years. I'm like, what? 2 years? I didn't want to be engaged 2 months. My wife, like, come on. Anyway, last section here, courting for, so now this, okay, so that section was courting for, where am I at here? Courting for marriage. Now we've got this last section, courting for sex. If the goal is maximum courtship, then a woman should logically, not morally, So he's saying this is not Christian advice, but this is just logical advice. Logically, not morally, choose to be courted for sex. There are a number of ways to go about this same basic goal, including looking for a one-night hookup, a fling, or a boyfriend. Given the basic similarities between these things, the strategy for finding such men is essentially the same. Many women also use hookups as their intended path to finding a husband. Oh, what foolish women. I know that's true. I know what he's writing is true. You just think, like, what fools are they? Anyway. Being courted for sex is a woman's best chance to soak up maximum attention and resources from men because the payoff tends to be immediate. While it is fairly unlikely that a woman will marry in the near term, the chances that she will have casual sex in the same time frame are extremely high. By moving into this space, you lower the risks for men who offer you courtship and will therefore have more takers. He's talking about the immoral harlot here. This is bad. Keep in mind that men who best know how to woo for sex also know that paying for dates before you have sex with them is a terrible bet. However, if you are pleasant and attractive enough to continue having sex with them, they will be more likely to pay for dates. Note that players have turned the tables here, and it is now women who have to first demonstrate skin in the game. Oh my goodness. Oh. Well, that's a bad place to be. Hopefully no woman is courting for sex. That sounds horrible. There's some damaged, broken women out here doing that. Boy, anyway, though. No, I thought this was his 10 things for a woman who, what she should do for men now withdrawing from courtship, meaning men are withdrawing from paying for dates and getting to know a girl because it's too expensive and they're just tired of being played. This is his list of 10 things a woman can do here. Boy, I kind of like this. Boy, this is good stuff. Good stuff to talk over with my daughters when they come of age. I like it. We're getting it turned around, this marriage marketplace, because Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Postmillennial Man.